Hi everyone, and welcome to the Yoga Habit Challenge. This is your first workshop as a part of the challenge, and we're going to be focusing on the science of habits. So if you've started to practice yoga, you probably have noticed that while the poses and the philosophy are super interesting and powerful, you can't actually get any of the benefits of practicing yoga unless you practice yoga, obviously. So I found that developing an understanding of how to start a habit is hugely powerful in order to make the practice a bigger part of your life. And not just something that you do occasionally when you have the time, it's actually a practice. So I first wanted to introduce the concept of ABIASA. And ABIASA is a term in yoga philosophy that refers to practice. So the concept of ABIASA, or practice, has three components. The first component is consistency. So consistency is coming to your mat regularly. You probably know what that means already. But the second part is emotion, or like love for your practice. So emotion and commitment. So if you have to do something like eating your vegetables when you're 6 years old, you don't really want to do it, do you? And if you're coming to your practice because it's something that you feel like you have to do, it's something like not fun, it's just a have to do, then it's going to be very hard to stay consistent, which is the first pillar of ABIASA, if you don't even like what you're doing. So it's important to find this love, this devotion, to where you really enjoy your practice. Like it's something that you, even if there's times when maybe you're tired or you're feeling a bit busy, the feeling of your practice being a sanctuary, or the practice being something that heals you and gives you mental and physical strength. So yeah, the first one's consistency, second one emotion, and the third one is duration. So my yoga philosophy teacher during my teacher training told a pretty funny story. He was like, I had a friend, and the friend said he'd been practicing yoga for 20 years. And he was inviting me to go practice yoga on Yoga Day, International Yoga Day. And it pretty soon became clear that he only practiced yoga once a year, one time on Yoga Day. So yes, that may be duration. You have been practicing for 20 years, and it's cool to practice for a long time, but it's a lot more powerful if you have all three pillars. You have the consistency, you have the emotion, and you have the duration. So it's kind of like a three-part triangle puzzle of practice. So as we go into this, I just wanted to introduce that concept because I feel like it's really important. And we're also going to touch on the science of habits today. So, the science of habits. You've probably found in your life that it's actually very, very hard to start a new habit. And you're not alone. I would agree with you on that one. And it's because when we have a new habit, we're actually rewiring our brain. Like our brain doesn't like to be having to work very hard. It likes to find these easy paths through life where we've kind of created this path that's well paved and we're walking down it. So this is what happens like for me, for example, when I come home from work and I just grab my phone and I lay in the bed because it's just relaxing, and my body knows like that's what gives me relaxation, and it's just autopilot. So if we want to begin a regular yoga practice, we're actually having to rewire our brain. Our brain is actually having to work quite a lot harder to be able to develop this practice. So if you read my welcome email, I'm going to tell this little story again because I feel like it's really good for this. So you imagine a field, and the field is full of really tall grass. Like it's so tall, it's like as tall as you. And you know that you want to get through the field to a little cabin in the center of this field. And basically it's not very easy. It's very hard going because you're squishing down the really long grass. You're having to squash it down, and it's not very fun because it's hard work. You're feeling exhausted. The path does not exist. You're creating the path by squashing down this grass. So when you start a yoga practice, when you're starting this new thing, it's going to feel like that. It's going to feel like hard because that you're creating a path where there was once no path. But fast forward a few months, even a week, it's going to be a lot easier because you have created a bit of a path that you can follow. So that's how it goes with habits. And basically, what a very good way of thinking about a habit is a system in your life. So our lives are made up of habits. Everything we do is pretty much habit. Like, you probably think of things like that you do without even thinking about them in your day. Things like brushing your teeth, or going to bed at a certain time, or even those bad habits that you have in your life that you're really annoyed about. You don't like that you do them, but it's just automatic. And the thing about it is that the empowering thing is to realize that we can change those habits. We can change them. And one thing about habits and setting a goal for yourself, so if you're watching this video, you probably want to start a yoga practice. The thing is that the difference between someone who actually achieves the goal and someone who wants that goal, both of those people, like the person who wants to achieve a goal and never actually completes it, and the person who has the goal and does complete it, both of those people have the same goal, right? They both want to start a yoga practice. But the thing is that if we obsess about this image of this perfect yoga practice that we're going to have, and we just really want it, but we're not actually willing to go through the system, that journey that we have to go on to get to that place, it's probably not going to end up happening for us. So the secret is to obsess more about the process, to invite yourself to go on a journey with it, instead of just obsessing about the destination. Because the destination, it's great, but we're not going to get there unless we go on the journey. And the journey isn't going to be enjoyable if we don't commit to it and enjoy it as a practice. So that's what I have to say about this to get started here today. I just invite you to imagine that field that you're on. Imagine that field with the really tall grass. And think of your completed, or not completed, a yoga practice is never completed, but imagine you as someone who practices yoga consistently, someone who no longer is letting yourself down, someone who easily goes to your mat because you know that it benefits you and knows that yoga is a big part of your life, and it has that ABIASA 3-part practice, the duration, consistency, and emotion. Imagine that version of you. That version of you is the squashed down grass, that clear path to the cabin in the center of your field. That is only going to happen if you think of that squashing down the grass process as an adventure, as a fun time, as something that you are ready to tackle. And thinking of it as something like the process is something that you're going on to benefit you, and to think of it as the purpose of yoga is not to be able to do a back bend perfectly, or to touch your toes, or to do anything like that. Like, the goal of yoga is to be with your breath in the present moment. So we're going to be going more into that in the next workshop about yoga, but I just wanted to start out with this kind of lowdown on what practice is and the science of habits, because I think that that's a really important place to start. And just as that little nugget of info at the end there, that the purpose of yoga is to be with your breath in the present moment, and tackling these poses and putting ourselves into these positions, it's all to be with our breath. It's all to clear our mind and be here. So I hope that this first workshop helped you. And remember that the science of habits, using that awareness of what a habit is and how to develop one, is hugely helpful to starting a practice. So remember that it's about creating a system in your life, a consistent practice that you are going on in a journey. It's not about creating this goal of being a perfect yogi. It's about like going off on this grand adventure and letting it be difficult, letting it be maybe a bit frustrating at times, because that is what gives you that strength of getting through difficult moments off the mat as well. So yeah, I just wanted to leave you with a little bit of an extra tidbit at the end here, was that right before I came to the yoga studio to begin to film these workshops for you, I was sitting at a cafe with my coffee, and I was just like really nervous about coming on here and talking to you guys, because I was like, what if these videos don't like fill the need that these people are looking for? What if it's not good? So I was like paralyzed there sitting with my coffee, and I'm like, what the secret is here is that we have to take imperfect action to get where we're going. We can't expect ourselves to be perfect right out of the gate, because often that perfectionist tendency will paralyze us and stop us from even starting. So I invite you to take imperfect action. Remember those 3 pillars of practice, ABIASA, and remember the science of habits, that we are going on a journey. We're not focusing on the goal or the destination. And good luck today. I hope that you have all had a wonderful Monday so far, and feel free to comment here or send a reply to this email if you're watching it through the email, and I will get back to you with answers to your questions as soon as I can. So I'll see you tomorrow for Tuesday, the 2nd day of the Yoga Habit Challenge. Thank you, everyone.